I want to get into gaming a little bit.
Yeah.
We've talked on a couple things, similar categories. We talked about, do graphics matter in video games, or how much they matter, and then we kind of dabbled, like, do achievements really matter? But me and you have been playing Evil West, and
Yeah.
we've only been playing this because it was free, and we both agree
Hmm.
that um, this is not a game that we probably would have purchased. This is not a game that, especially now playing it now,
Hmm.
because I think both of us at times are like, the the gameplay or the controls felt a little clunky, like it just did not feel smooth. So my question to you, Soto, is, and this is what we've asked this before: how important is gameplay slash controls to you in a game? Like, is this the most important thing to you in a game? I know I'm opening up a bag of worms with this shit, but playing Evil West, I know we're doing it, we're having fun because I think we just like to make jokes of it, but overall, it's we get into it, and I'm like, hey, how do I do this and how do I do that? Nothing feels smooth about this game, and
Yeah.
and I know that's just one example. I know we'll have some good examples, something like that. But how important is controls to you in a video game?
I mean, huge
Yeah.
because when you learn the controls, the whole point is that they should be instinctive, right? Like so when you are in a crazy situation, you're playing Returnal and you're in a situation that you don't expect, yet that like the controls are intuitive enough that you naturally go, you don't think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you kind of like have reflexes and you go where you need to go because you've learned the control scheme. The control scheme just kind of just naturally goes with what you'd be hitting in the first place. And I think that that is a huge part of gaming for me when it comes to really any RPG that has an action element to it. Because again, there's going to be moments where you have to make a split decision, and the last thing you want to do is to be hitting the wrong button. Famously, I was playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and for some reason the Red Dead Redemption 2 controls, I don't know what it is about them, but like they're not intuitive at the very beginning. There were many incidents that occurred where I meant to talk to an NPC, but then I accidentally shot my horse. Or I went into a shop and I went to go buy guns and I like pulled out my shotgun and killed the shopkeeper on accident. When I meant to just buy something because of the way the control schemes are set up. I mean, for me, sometimes if I think of the X button at the bottom there, that's the execute button, that's the OK button, that's the do button, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
even circle is sometimes. But if you start to fuck with that, my brain is so wired to think that that's what it is that I'll accidentally hit that button. And I think that control schemes in action games that are wired so that you can like kind of when things get crazy, you can just go like pure reflexes and have really good results. Those are like the best games. I know Horizon, I felt had a very intuitive kind of get the fuck out of dodge like mechanic. Um, the FromSoft games, even though I suck at them, have a pretty good mechanic like that as well. And with Evil West, it's just that it gives me a lot of Resident Evil, where it just feels like you're turning a boat all the time, and there's so many different attack buttons, but then you lose track of where they are, and then there's so many special moves that you just kind of like forget to use in critical situations, and you don't really get those opportunities to use them that often, and so it is a pain in the ass to play that game on the regular, as we're about to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
So that is just, I mean, to me again, like to go back around, it is right there. I think it's way more important than graphics. It's just if the controls aren't working, the overall experience I think is going to suffer.
And I 100% agree. And I'm glad you brought up Returnal, because I was thinking about this. Like, Returnal, though there was a few, different, there was a lot to it. It felt like you were in control. Like, when we died, it felt like our fault, or we didn't know what the fuck was
Yes.
going on. Movement was great. Our guns were great. I mean, that was the learning process, was more like what the extra stuff on your guns you did, because we're like, what the fuck's a Trental pod? And we'd fuck around with it, like, oh, okay, you figure it out. But, as far as movement, shooting, everything just was smooth. And, I just finished Final Fantasy 16, and there is a lot to this, and a lot of customization about how to make your character what you want, in a certain way. And I don't want to ruin it for people, but once you had your play style down, like which things you like to do, where it was at in the controls, everything was smooth for me. Like I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew how I was gonna like spam things. Like at the beginning of a fight, if it was a boss, like I had everything planned
Hmm.
out and I executed it, and it was great. I know we joked about Final Fantasy VII remake because I rebirth. There's a little bit more to that. Like it is a little clunky, but once you learn it, it's hard, but you kind of get into it. It's not as bad as Evil West. To me, Evil West is bad. The controls are bad, and it sucked. Because, like you said, I'm looking, I'm like, oh, what is, oh, I got a shotgun, I got this. Oh, how do I pull up my flamethrower over here? And by
Yeah.
the time you figure it out, you're trying to run, but you can't. You go so fucking slow, too. Um,
Yeah.
so I agree with you. For most games, it may not be number one, and that's something else we'll get into later, but it's number two. It is number one for me in any multiplayer games. Like Rocket League,
Oh
even
yeah.
when I did Call of Duty, Fortnite, controls number one. Because if you cannot smoothly move, shoot, drive, sports games, Madden's including this, the game's going to suck. There's a reason why these games make so many because the controls are there. So, but yeah, as we're going to play Evil West a little bit later, I'm just like, sad part is I'm looking forward for this to end because I'm just like, is this
Yes.
game already
Me
over?
too.
And me
Me
and you
too.
have this sickness, and I know we're trying to change things. Like we have to finish this game because we started it, but at the same
Of
time,
course.
I'm just like, God, this is not going to be on my memorable, co-op games that I've played with you. I'm just like, it will be
No.
done, and I'm like, I can't wait to the next one. And I'm like, I would love for this to be over, but I have a feeling two more sessions, and that's what's sad. That shows that controls and gameplay, bad controls, bad gameplay, make for a bad experience.
I
And
enjoyed
yeah,
Power Wash more than this. And I mean, I'm not mad at Power Wash. It's fun, but I don't know. This game feels like it should have been at least like a few hours shorter than what it is because I don't care. Like it's a very generic like vampire story, and not to turn it to a review of Evil West, but it's very generic. It's whatever. It's sometimes there are fun moments, but most of it it's like a slog. Like we just went through this last boss fight, and all of a sudden the difficulty ramped up way more than it's been the whole entire game.
hmm
And then it's asking us to do all these controls during this difficult ramp up, and we were like, what? I feel like I should have known the controls better than I did before that fight happened, and that's just bad design to me. I'm happy it was free because, again, what can I say? It's free, so I'm not that
yeah,
mad about it. But
I'd have been pissed if I
um,
paid for it.
I was hoping that we were going to finish the last session because I'm like, okay, I'm ready to move on to something.
Yeah,
At least like with the Final Fantasy game, I'm not saying it's going to be great, but it's Final Fantasy, and maybe there'll be some fun to come from that. I don't know, but this has been a slog.
yeah, I agree. So, but anyhow, if you're listening to this on YouTube, let us know how much controls are important to you in gameplay. And if you
Hmm.
played Evil West, let us know if you actually enjoy the controls. Is there something we're missing? Because I'm telling you, every time we turn on this game, we're figuring shit out. And I don't know. I hate the controls and stuff like that. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, let us know in the comments. So, oh
Yeah.
my God.